This has been a video I've been meaning to make for a very long time. This is the opera, The Magic Flute by Mozart. And Mozart made it in the late 1700s. This predated feminism. And yet you could see it's all about gender dynamics with this opera. Mozart has basically made an opera which tells women to know their place. Now, what we're seeing here are the two protagonists. This is Tamino, who is the prince, who represents the man who search for knowledge and truth and ideals. This is Papago, who represents the lizard-brained man who just wants to get the girl. And he paints, of course, the prince in a very positive light and Papago in a very negative light. Now, I'm going to use the animated version for the most part because it's very quick and it leaves out important songs, of course, but it's something you could go to, and this is only a half hour long, okay? Now, this is the other thing. Reason why I'm using this animated version. In the full-length opera, if you want to look for it online, they don't give the reasons for why the Queen of the Night is against Sarastro, right? Here's the Queen of the Night. Her father's dying. There's her daughter, his granddaughter. And there's Sarastro, who is a chief of the temple. The father, the king, gives his symbol of authority to Sarastro because he's worthy of leadership, and his daughter doesn't, right? So take a look. As you can see, it's understandable. She actually says, "This is the reason why I'm so angry. This is my birthright." But notice they show the snake coming after it. So sorry, you are an evil person, so you aren't worthy of wielding authority. And notice too, this is something that a lot of the newer versions of this opera leave out, is that Mozart was a Freemason. And that's why the best versions of this opera always show the Masonic symbol like this for Sarastro. Sarastro represents the leader of the Masonic temple. This is what it's all about. Like I say, if you watch the full opera, they really won't say that till almost the very end. So here they're telling us the motivation of the characters, right? Now, this is the other thing. Sarastro, this is her daughter. He snatches her up. He basically kidnaps her and says, you're going to be misled by your mother. She's a single mother, and single mothers are bad for their children. So even though it's kidnapping, it's not really kidnapping any more than when child services kidnap children from bad parents. When child services take children away from their bad parents, people don't call it kidnapping, do they? Right. So the prince, Tamino, who is a superior man, is up here on the other side of the mountain simply because he's never seen it. And he doesn't have any weaponry, and he's going bravely on his own. And she is going to use him as a pawn to get her daughter back, right? But more to the point, stealing the symbol of authority from Sarastro. I don't know if there'll be too much copyright, right? But the point is, this poor guy is a well-meaning guy, right? And so she wants to rope him in. So what she do? She sicks a monster on him, and then she gets her lackeys to rescue him. And that's what they're going to do, right? And then she gives her sob story later on. Here she comes and says, "Will you come help me?"
What was that?
Our queen's coming.
She's coming. She's coming.
Now, I know it's hard to hear a word, so I'll bypass this. The point is, she shows up in all this glory and power. She puts on a great show and says how, here's my daughter, go rescue her, right? And of course, Tamino is such a typical guy. They don't show it in the animated version, so I have to show here. Once she gives her Tamino her spiel, she tempts him with her daughter. She's willing to pimp out her daughter to get what she wants. And of course, Tamino here, being a typical young man, he's in love with this girl he's never met. They've just shown a picture of her. Hey, dude, have you never talked to a girl? In this case, Tamino hasn't. He knows nothing about this girl. She's just a knockout. And so he's in love. This is very typical for us guys. Now we'll get to the two guys and how they differ. But right now we'll finish off with what her mother wants to do, right? She wants that symbol of power. She's using her child. She says, it's all about rescuing my daughter. But guess what? She wants her daughter to kill Sarastro while she's in his care. It's a single mother turning the child against the parent.
Mother,
do you see this knife? It is for Sarastro. Take it, kill him, and bring the sign of the sun to me.
but mother...
Not a word.
Should you refuse to kiss Sarastro, refuse to kiss Sarastro, then
It's hard to hear her, but she's basically saying, I'm going to disown you if you don't kill this man and give me the symbol of power, right? So that's what it is. This is why Mozart made this opera. It's like women, they're not worthy for leadership. This is the way they behave. Again, this predates feminism. Now, I won't put. By the way, this is a very famous opera. Whether you like whether you like it or not, it's not the point. It's probably something that everyone's heard, even if they've never known where it's come from. And Mozart made it beautiful, in spite of the fact that he also made it screeching. She screeches it out. Now, this is what happens when she tries to kill Sarastro. This is the kind of response that actually makes me teary-eyed, because Sarastro is the ultimate evolved man.
Oh, sir.
I know this knife was intended for me.
Oh, sir, please don't punish my mother.
Before I play this, it's hard to hear, But she says, please don't punish my mother. And he sings this beautiful aria of forgiveness. And know what he also saying? He says, this is a brotherhood where we forgive our enemies and we help our fellow man. I was never that impressed by the aria just hearing by itself, but once I knew what the words were, I became teary-eyed. If a man should falter, we'll help him on his way. You hear that? He will go from our embrace to make the world a better place. Sarastro is about making the world a better place. He's not about being king. He's about making the world a better place. That's what makes him the ultimate human being. And of course, that's the way Mozart felt, because when he joined the Freemasons, he must have got that feeling. It was a brotherhood. There was no women in there, right? Now we'll get into the critique this opera has for the two kinds of men. The man, in this case, Tamino the prince, who searches for truth and love, and Papago, who searches for the girl.
Where am I? What's that noise? What on earth is this place?
I'm sure that there could never be a more contented man than me. I earn my living as I please. I charm the birds from out the trees. If only I could cast a spell and catch a lovely girl as well.
So he's a typical contented man, but what's his one desire? To catch a girl as well. That's his whole aim, right? These two get captured by Sarastro, and they're not punished. They're put through trials to test them as human beings, right? And there's the two answers.
Papago, where do you think we are?
How am I supposed to know?
Strangers, why are you here?
I come in search of friendship and love.
Will you undergo all our trials?
Everyone.
Good. What about
He's there for friendship and love. There you go.
you? Are you prepared to fight for wisdom and truth?
No, wisdom and truth aren't really my thing. I just want to meet the right girl.
Yeah, wisdom and truth aren't my things. I just want to meet the right girl, right? That's what it's about. And if you notice, these guys get what they deserve, right? He does. They give him a promise that they'll give a girl who's just like him, right? But for the prince here, what's he promised? He's promised truth and love, and he gains that. He gains so much more than Papago, right? Now, there's a couple of things I want to point out about Papago. So this is to my man, Eric Schiedler. I talked to him about this opera before, and I've asked him, Papago, when he gets his girl at the end, and he does, did he actually pass on, right? And this is why I asked this question, right? When Papago meets his girl, he meets her in two particular cases, right? The first one, nobody else is around, and he's drinking, right? He's drinking. So here she is, right? She's testing him. She says, I'm an old woman. Would you date an old woman? And he basically says, I'll take with what I can get. But he was supposed to remain silent. That was one of the test that they put him and the prince through. Tamino passed it, of course, and he failed his. So she ends up saying, you know, here I am, the young version, and you failed.
Wasser trinken, der Welt entsagen. Da will ich lieber eine alte nehmen als gar keine. Hier, du Engel, hast du meine Hand mit der Versicherung, dass ich dir immer getreu bleibe, solange ich keine schönere sehe.
Das schwörst du?
Ja, das schwöre ich. Oh, Papagena! Fort mit dir, junges Weib! Ich deine noch nicht würdig!
She reveals herself to actually be young and pretty, and she runs away because he screwed up. He failed his test. Papageno fails all his tests, right? Again, this case, he's drinking and he's alone, right? This is the second time he sees her. Now, you would describe Papageno as an incel, because what's he doing here? He's so forlorn he can't get the girl. He's threatening to kill himself. That he's threatening to hang himself. So, what's he going to do? He's going to hang himself. And guess who comes? Now, I should have introduced these guys earlier, but when Papageno and Tamino were going on their errand, they got these three young boys, these three young, what do I call them, cupids, to guide them. So they're heavenly creatures. The only time he sees his version, Papagena, is, again, 2 times. The first time, he was drinking and alone, and the second time, he's basically alone except with heavenly creatures. So did he actually take his own life? And this is his version of heaven. I want you guys to think about that. I don't know if Mozart actually meant for this to be interpreted that way. But I think he did take his life, and his heaven was meeting Papagena, right? And the other thing is, Papagena really is just a female version of himself. Because when they sing their aria, she doesn't actually sing on her own. She echoes him. It's like he's singing against a wall or a mirror that's reflecting back to him.
Bring sie hier, mein Mädchen hier, mein Weibchen hier.
See what I mean? Like, she didn't say anything to him. He sings, she echoes. So is she real, or is she just all in his head? Good question, guys. Good question. So Papageno is an incel, but he meets the dark version of himself, right? Papageno is looking for a woman on his level. Well, this is the villain Monostatos. He is also a guy who can't get the girl, but he wants the top girl, and he's willing to do anything, including the grape.
What's going on here? I'd better to go and see. A maiden young and fair, with skin so white and spotless. Ooh, it is Beelzebub himself. It is Beelzebub himself. Oh, 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 oh.
I'm Papago. This morning I was delivering birds to your mother as usual when I met a prince called Tamino.
Yeah, they're basically saying, you know, he's a cowardly version of that, right? He is the dark half of Papago. And Monostatos sings this quick aria, which basically saying, don't I deserve the love just because I'm ugly? Does that mean I don't have a heart? Then I don't get the girl?
Alles für der Liebe, Freuden, Schnee betendet, Herzet küsst. Und ich soll lieber weinen, weil ein Schwarzer hässlich ist, weil ein Schwarzer hässlich ist.
I know I don't have any, unless you speak, you know, the language, it's going, you don't know it, but I'm just telling you, that's what he's singing, right? And so Mozart actually does have some feelings for this guy, right? But here's the thing, Monostatos, because he's the dark version, he actually serves Sarastro. And you know that Papago serves the Queen of the Night. What happens? They reverse. They switch over, right? Because here he is by the Queen of the Night's side. And what'd she do? She promised her daughter to him since the prince wasn't going to get her what she wanted. Again, the single mother whose daughter is strictly there to get her what she wants. Her children are used. And that's why Sarastro, who's basically child services, came and rescued her, right? And of course, Monostatos, since he wasn't willing to settle for what he deserved, he joined her side. And this woman would no doubt have complete contempt for this guy. So it doesn't matter if you're a prince or this low status guy. My daughter's for sale as long as I get power, right? And of course, this is the end of the opera where they get zapped. There you go. Light banishes darkness. Truth and love banishes, you know, greed and lies. I just want to point out one last thing, is the hypocrisy. He points out the hypocrisy of the female nature, right? Because Papago is punished for lying, right? And yet the whole time they are telling lies.
You rescued me from the serpent.
What serpent?
Ugh. Is it dead? How did you do it?
Simple, really. Strangled it.
Papago.
Ah, ladies, I have your birds.
And we have this.
And this.
And this for you.
That's for lying.
We freed you, young.
Yeah, that's for lying. And they don't show it in the cartoon version of it, the animated version of it. But in this full-length opera, there's this big sing-along of how the world may be a better place if liars were all had all their lips locked, right? They locked his lips, there's the lock, for lying, and all the time they were lying to Tamino, the prince, right? So this is a huge indictment of gender dynamics and actually just female nature. And don't get me wrong, this is being attacked. This opera is being damaged. Because those were all older versions of that opera that are faithful to it. Here's a new one. I won't play any of it. If you want to take a look at it, you can. But if you ever watched that whole opera, then looked at this version, you'd realize they turn everything upside down. Because they always do. Anything that is male positive will be destroyed. In this version, Sarastro is shown to be a hypocrite, right? Everything gets reversed, right? So I'm just letting you know. So if you ever want to watch this opera, find the older versions, okay? But anyway, that's my I wouldn't say critique of the opera. That is my explanation of it. This opera is worth knowing. Even if you're not into the music and that, the story is perfect. Thank you.